Hi there. So I chose to make a video sharing my experience with COVID and the ongoing symptoms that I'm still experiencing 8 weeks later. And the reason I chose to do this, I've been pretty private about it. Only a few close to me know what I've been through over the last couple of months. But the reason that I chose to share this is I spent quite a bit of time this morning looking through YouTube videos myself, searching for just others' experiences that are similar to mine. And I found a few, but nothing that really talked about the specific issues that I'm having. And I know that others are suffering in the same way, but not really a lot out there. So I thought, this virus isn't going away. It's only going to affect more and more people. So I thought I would go ahead and share my experience in hopes that, it may not, I don't have the answers, but at least you won't feel alone. And like I have kind of off and on over the past few weeks thinking, oh my gosh, something is wrong with me. What is going on? When in fact it really just is related to the virus and the lasting effects of the virus. And I had no idea. So hopefully this helps people. And a couple things that I'll say before I kind of jump into my experience. I really don't belong to either side of the fence when it comes to all the political stuff. I'm certainly not living in fear. But I also don't think that this virus is a hoax. It's very real. It's affected me tremendously. But having been through that experience, I still wouldn't go back and change anything. I'm not going to be afraid, and I'm not going to keep myself or my family from having as normal as we can life and go out and experience life just safely. That would be my advice, is just be smart and take precautions when you can. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'll try to make this as short and to the point as possible, but I want to share details for those that may have just been diagnosed and they're wanting a heads up on what to expect, or people that are just curious. So I was diagnosed 54 days ago. So it was early July, and everyone that I have spoken to, which sadly is more than I can even count, that have experienced COVID now, everyone had completely different symptoms and completely different onset. Personally, for me, I know exactly where and when I was exposed. And so for me, 48 hours after I was exposed, I started showing symptoms. I didn't put it all together until I was diagnosed and started going back and going, oh, okay, that was COVID. But it started with body aches for me. So I had maybe 2 or 3 days of just fatigue, body aches, almost like I had just overexerted myself, like lifted heavy weights. It's the same level of like soreness. My neck was sore. My back was sore. My legs, I was getting cramps in the middle of the night in my calves. It felt like maybe I had run a marathon. And just overall, just fatigue. So that lasted for maybe 2 or 3 days. And that's when I started running a very low grade fever. 99.3 is really as high as it ever got. And that lasted for about a week, maybe 5 or 6 days. So that's when the fever started, and I only coughed maybe a day and a half, and it wasn't anything alarming. It was just, I've got a dry, scratchy like throat. I can't, I just kind of wanted to clear my throat, cough a little bit, but nothing like I would have expected. Others that I've talked to never coughed, never ran a fever. And then there's some that have been coughing for weeks, and it was more respiratory, for them. So it's all very different. But my experience was that the cough was only, not even a day long, and nothing alarming. Once I figured out that that's what was going on, of course I got tested. At the time I got tested, it took a full 8 days to get the results back, but I already knew I had it. I had been exposed. There were others that were in the same area that I was in, and we were all testing positive. And so, in fact, we didn't talk to anyone that was at where we were that did not get it. So very highly contagious. And I'll also add, for those of you who don't know me, I am a very, very healthy person. I had just come off of a 2-month long, what I like to call a nutrition challenge, where I'm counting my macros. I'm weighing and measuring everything that I eat. I mean, it's a little over the top extreme, very regimented in my diet. And I was also working out, I would say 5 to 6 days a week, almost every day, and a lot of cardio. And so I was in very good shape. And many of those that got it were also very, young, 30s, 40s, and in shape. It does not care. I will say I am very fortunate. I never did have to go to the hospital, and maybe if I wasn't in the shape that I was, it could have been a lot worse. But I was very surprised how hard it did hit me. So anyway, back to the actual experience of getting diagnosed and the symptoms that I had. So for maybe 10 days or so, I just couldn't get off the couch. I mean, exhaustion. The fatigue was intense. But the first week, I never really had any respiratory issues, no coughing. I was only short of breath if I really thought about it. Like, okay, maybe when I got up and walked, I was short of breath. And then it would just kind of come in waves. It was the weirdest thing. I woke up one day and thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting better. I'm feeling better. I'm up doing things around the house. And then I would crash that night. And then I wish I would have kept a log, but I want to say about day maybe 9 or 10 is when I started noticing the shortness of breath, and it scared me. I've never experienced anything like that. I've never I don't have asthma. I've never had pneumonia. I mean, maybe I've had bronchitis once in my life. And so that feeling of not being able to completely fill my lungs, was very scary. And I think another part of it for me was I was very emotional. And so, I would cry a lot. I think it was just mental exhaustion. No matter how much I slept, like everything, my brain felt tired. I was very emotional. And so the days that started feeling like I was short of breath, I would get so worked up and so upset. I would cry, which would then make it worse. And I had what I would now qualify as panic attacks. I've never had one before. I'm not an anxious person by nature. I've never experienced anything like this, but it was like hyperventilating and just feeling like I couldn't breathe. And what would help in those moments is my husband got a fan and put it in my face, and was just reminding me take deep breaths and calm down. And once I would think about it, close my eyes and really take deep breaths, calm down, I was fine. I just had to be reassured that I'm okay. I'm breathing okay. One thing that I will suggest for those of you who may be diagnosed with it is get a pulse oximeter, pulse ox. I think it was maybe $22 on Amazon, but I could put that thing on my finger and be assured that, okay, I'm getting enough oxygen. 90, they want you to be 97 to 100. I was 95, 96, but I knew that meant I was getting enough oxygen. And so that could calm me down, give me some peace of mind that, okay, I'm okay. I'm fine, take some deep breaths, calm down, and then it would get better. But that happened, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times. It really, really did scare me, and it was worse at night. And that was also another experience that, talking to several other people, it was almost like it had a sundowners effect. In the evening, it would get worse. Around 8 p.m., like clockwork, it would get really bad. And then in the morning, I would feel pretty rough, and I'd have a good little span of time there in the middle of the day that I would feel at least where I could work and get some things done. I work from home, so I did quarantine for a full 3 weeks. So I'm fortunate that I was still able to work during that time. Couple of things. So we have 3 children. They are ages 3, 10, and 14. We had the 14 and the 3-year-old at home during that time. And of course, you can't quarantine from a toddler. My husband and I both had it. And so he was in our faces the whole time, never showed any symptoms. I never got him tested, but he never had any symptoms. The 14-year-old, we kept away from him as much as possible, but still had meals together. We were still in the same house. And I did have him tested. He did not have it. Never showed any symptoms. So that's one question that I get a lot is, did you stay away from the kids? Did the kids get it? They did not get it. And what else? So after the shortness of breath, and during that time, I did go to urgent care because I was afraid that I was getting pneumonia. My x-ray came back normal. And this is the part that I was wanting to get to, the biggest, most difficult symptom for me was headache. And I think it was day 4. I woke up day 4 after having started showing symptoms. I woke up with the worst headache that I have ever experienced. And I've been a migraine sufferer my whole life. I had tension headaches, back in my early 20s. So I'm familiar with headaches. This was unlike anything I had ever experienced. And I don't even know really how to describe it. So it feels like there's just an enormous amount of pressure in my entire skull. I mean, my jaw hurts, my ears, my eyes, the front of my head, the back of my skull, like everything hurt. And, at that point, it would kind of come and go. I could take something, I could take ibuprofen, and get through the day. And then at night is when it would get really bad. My primary care called me in Fiorset, which is acetaminophen and caffeine and codeine. And I would take that the nights that it would get really bad because it was so painful that it was hard to even lay down and rest at night. It was just miserable. So fast forward, I finally tested negative after 3 weeks. So on day 18, I still tested positive. I tested again on day, I think it was 21, and I finally tested negative. I was still having symptoms, but I was testing negative, and I had been quarantined that whole time. So at that point, I was going back into public. Going to the grocery store, taking the kids places, things like that, but still having symptoms. The shortness of breath got better. But the headaches never went away. A few times I tried to exercise again. I tried to go for a run and I would feel pretty good. In the morning I'd go for a run and then at night it would start hurting again. So basically I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So now we're at day 54 and I'm still experiencing these headaches, which is the main reason I wanted to make this video, because I have done a ton of research. I've found some online Facebook support groups of, they're calling them COVID long haulers. So people that are experiencing symptoms, some of these people were diagnosed in March and still having symptoms. Many of them severe, respiratory and cardiac issues that they're being hospitalized for and treated for. Fortunately, that's not been my experience, but again, why I wanted to share this is I had what they would call a mild case of COVID. I didn't have to be hospitalized. But I'm dealing with 8 weeks of, debilitating pain. Today was a good day. I woke up and I had the pain, but I treated it. I'm getting better at managing the pain. I am having to take pain pills every day because it's not a migraine. I can't take Imitrex or Maxalt. I've been prescribed for migraines. That does nothing for them. Ibuprofen doesn't do anything. I truly have to take a pain pill just to get the pain to go away so that I can function. I hate that. I have a fuzzy head all the time. It makes it very difficult to work, really to carry on conversations. There's days where I just cry because I feel like I'm not myself anymore. One of the things, that keeps me balanced and keeps my stress level down is exercise. I'm a cardio junkie. I love to ride my bike and run every day. I can't do that. I haven't been able to do that in weeks. In fact, I tried one day when I was feeling better and it hurt so bad that night that my doctor said, don't do it. Don't do it at all until these symptoms go away. So nothing to get your heart rate above 100. So basically walking, and my heart rate does go up like that right now. And I think it's just, inflammation is what they're, identifying it as, just inflammation after the virus for whatever reason. I've got this inflammation, that's causing the pain in my head. And every now and then it's in my neck and back, but nothing like it is in my head. I am waiting on a referral to a neurologist, and I have an MRI scheduled on Monday, but so far I've had CAT scans and blood work done almost weekly, and nothing shows up on that. So I guess the good news is there's nothing else really going on. There's no blood clot, there's no brain tumor. It's all related to the virus. But the bad news with that is we don't know what we don't know. I mean, nobody knows, and we don't know how long this is going to last. But hopefully it will go away. So anyway, the reason I wanted to share this is for those of you who may be searching for answers, or just thinking that something is wrong, when in fact it is still related to COVID. We just don't know. We don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it will go away, because it's really hard. I've had to, I get really tired of that phrase, new normal, but I mean, I really have had to adjust to a new normal. It's like I was given a different life, and I just have to learn how to live with it. I can't do the things that I normally do every day. And now I am spending a lot of my time, energy, and focus on just pain management, which I've never experienced before. Gives me a new appreciation and understanding for people that deal with chronic pain, because it really is, all I can think about. And I've got kids and a husband and coworkers that are counting on me every day. And, there's a lot that I take for granted. And I feel like once this is over, I'm going to have a new outlook on life. I'm going to appreciate all of the little things that I've been taking for granted, because we really do. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Just wanted to share my experience, and if anyone out there is struggling, reach out to me. Send me a message. I would love to talk to you. While I don't have the easy fix, I can be a supportive friend, and I can tell you what all I've tried. And there are a few things that have helped. One thing that I will share quickly before I get off here is vitamins. Make sure, even if you haven't had the virus, make sure you're taking a good multivitamin. Take zinc, take vitamin C. Those are all things that, vitamin D also, we're all deficient in those, but it's going to help you, it's going to help your immune system. And that's a main focus of mine. I'm working with lots of different doctors and nurse practitioners to get my immune system as beefed up as I possibly can, and while I'm treating the pain, and just hope that whatever is still lingering in my body will pack its bags and kick rocks soon, because I'm over it. Anyway, take care. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Be careful, and be kind. Be kind to others. You don't know what their experience is. Part of the reason I've hesitated to share this is because there's people out there that will judge me for, going on vacation, or, being out and making the decision to send my kids to school versus virtual school. And it's, at the end of the day, we're all making decisions that we feel are best for our families, and we're all doing the best that we can. And I see so much judgment and so much hate, and it makes me so sad. And just be kind. Be kind. Be loving. You don't know what other people are experiencing and going through, and really it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay. Sending love. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Drop me a comment or a message if you need some support, and that's all I got. Thanks for listening.